I've worked in lots of different places all over the country, but nowhere has got the community spirit I found that Hastings has.
Right, so Kevin, you're born and bred Hastings. Your family's been here for generations. You're a civic figure. I know that people know you here because walking along the road, people going, "Hello, Kevin." So what makes people feel so proud about being from Hastings?
People love Hastings. It's got a real family feel about it. I mean, I went to the same school my mum went to. All of my children went to the same school that we went to. In fact, my granddaughter's just started, so the fourth generation. It's got a really close family feel still. Although we have lots of people from outside, there's still a really great community spirit here. I've worked in lots of different places all over the country, but nowhere has got the community spirit I found that Hastings has.
Right, so it's the community
really
as much as the way the place looks and feels and where it is.
We know we've got problems and we can talk about deprivation, but there's also an amazing feel that people want to do things themselves. So we have some really great community-led events here. And these aren't top down, these aren't imposed or organised by the council or by the government or by other people. These are organised by the community. So things called Jack in the Green, Bonfire, things like that, huge events.
What's Jack in the Green?
Well, Jack in the Green is a festival of Morris dancing. It takes place on the May Day bank holiday weekend, and we have up to 1,000 Morris dancers in town, and we have 20,000-30,000 people watching it, and we have lots of motorbikes as well on the May Day bank holiday, and they follow this dancing bush all around the old town, and there's a great big event at
the motorbikes are involved in the Morris dancing.
One year we had that. One year we actually had a motorbike stunt, and they were all wearing Morris gear, and they were doing motorcycle stunts dressed in Morris gear.
All right, I'll come down and see that.
It's great.
That is fantastic.
But that kind of thing it was done by the community, and it was really big. People love it. People come from miles to see it, but it's done for the community. And they don't ask for lots of government funding, lots of council funding. The people who do it organise it themselves, and it's a brilliant event.
And they're proud of the town. We were just at a community event. I was listening. You were taking part in it. People were talking about what they need to do to improve the whole seafront, really. And there were all sorts of ideas people were coming up with. But it wasn't just the council should do this, the government do that. It was also we can get involved. We could paint the shops along the front to make it look a bit more attractive. There was a real sense that people wanted to get stuck in.
On my table, people say, "Oh, we can go do some litter picking. You know, we know the council hasn't got that much money. We can get the paint brushes out. We can get the litter pickers out. We can do that kind of thing." And that's the community spirit there is here in Hastings.
Yeah. Now we're at the lifeboat building here, and you told me that your family have been involved here.
That's right. Well, I'm actually what's called a launch authority here now, so I'm one of the duty managers. And if there's a shout and I'm on call, then it's up to me to take the call from the Coast Guard, and I alert the rest of the crew, and we work out what boat's being used. But I come from a lifeboat family, so my great-granddad was on Hastings Lifeboat for 30 years, and he was second coxswain for 20 years. Wow. And his son, my nan's brother, was cox of the lifeboat in early 1940s, and in fact took the Hastings Lifeboat to Dover for Dunkirk in 1940. That was my nan's brother was the coxswain. So I've always been interested in lifeboat. My nan used to be a lifeboat launcher. In the old days, the women used to launch the lifeboats because the men were on the lifeboats. And she was a lifeboat launcher back in the 1930s. And I've always had an interest in lifeboats. And when I retired, I wanted to get involved in the lifeboats, sort of revive that family tradition. And I'm now a launch authority here, which is why we're sitting here today.
And you said your family's name's on the board behind us.
My great uncle, my nan's brother, was coxswain of the lifeboat in 1940. He's on the board with all the coxswains who've ever been on the lifeboat.
That's an amazing connection back through the generations with the history of this place. So, I mean, you've seen Hastings change over the decades, I'm sure. Tell me how it's changed.
It's changed a lot. I was born in the 1950s, so I'm aging myself. But in those days, Hastings was quite different. It was a huge tourist town back in the 60s and 70s, and it was one of the top 3 holiday destinations in the country, and that's before the package holidays, before the Mediterranean became really popular. But then suddenly over a period of years, we really declined. And I used to work at the council, and when I started working in my first year at the council in the early 1998, we were hellhole on sea, suicide capital of the south, and Costa del Dol. Those were all national newspaper headlines about Hastings. We had a real problem in terms of image. So we went almost from hero to zero over the 20 or 30 years from the 1960s, 1970s to the late 1990s.
Presumably that image was driven by social changes that were going on?
What happened, used to have huge numbers of seafront hotels, like many other places did.
Yeah.
And when the British, the domestic visitor went to the Mediterranean and the south of France and wherever, those hotels suddenly became unviable, and they were used for homeless people, they were used for social housing, they were used to accommodate people on social benefits. Back in those days, people could travel and pick up their what's used to be called dole money.
Yeah.
And these days, of course, it's not like that, but we used to get lots and lots of people, and Hastings became the end of the line in lots of respects. So lots of the seafront hotels were effectively converted to HMOs, houses in multiple occupation, and were bed sits, and we had some really, really bad problems with unfortunately, some of the inhabitants, the people who live there.
And that's a story not just of Hastings, that's the story of seaside towns up and down the country.
Absolutely. You can see the same in Clacton, you can see the same in Margate, you can see the same in, let's just say, lots and lots of places. And those places are now benefiting from pride in place, of course.
Yeah.
But that's why we need it, because 25 years ago, say 30 years ago, Hastings was really, really deprived. It still is deprived, but the image is better now. Lots of work was done by lots of people 15, 20 years ago, and we managed to secure government funding 20 years ago, and we managed to help turn the place round.
Yep.
I have to say, over the last 10 or 12 years, it has got more difficult again, and we've started to see, and you heard at that meeting we've just come from, the community meeting, people were complaining about how the seafront was looking tired, how what used to be the Julian crane was now a bad legacy. Things have gone from good to bad, and there'll be lots of seafront buildings which have been neglected, which haven't had money invested in them, and so that's an issue, and that's why I think pride in place can really help.
Because it gives the community funding to change the things that matter to people in Hastings.
And we heard people say about graffiti, we heard people say about litter bins, we heard people say about the state of the seafront benches. We're not asking for multi-million-pound massive schemes. We're trying to do the small things that the community wants. We had some really good feedback from our consultation last summer. We had over 7,000 responses. Now, for a town of Hastings to get 7,000 responses from 4,000 people is huge. 7,000 responses telling us what the people of Hastings really
And what's the idea? Is it to make Hastings a better place for the people who live here? Is it to attract more tourists that will come and spend money and put more wages in the pockets of the people that are working here?
I think the party now is trying to make it better for the people who live here. We know there's still some massive issues about deprivation. Separate government pots are available for tourism, and I don't think tourism is what pride in place is really meant for. But if people can have pride in where they live, then we start to see a reduction in the antisocial behaviour. Some of the issues that we've just been discussing are street homeless people. We've got people living in caravans, and that kind of thing. People need to feel better about themselves, and if they think that the town is getting better, if they think we can improve things, it's simple things in some cases. We can put a new litter bin in, we can put a new bus stop in, we can put some money into a local community centre to make people feel better about where they live. They feel better about where they live. That just improves their whole...
So true.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, this goes right to the heart of what the government's Pride in Place programme is all about. But let's hear it in your words. Why is it better that local people should take those decisions rather than elected politicians in Westminster?
Without being rude to those present, I
feel
think
free.
It's because the people who we have on our board are all local people. All the decision makers on the Pride in Place board in Hastings are local people. They weren't all born here. One or two were. Some have moved here. We have a Canadian teacher. She absolutely loves Hastings. She's a Morris dancer as well. But she loves the town. She's bringing up her young children here now, and she's passionate about the place. And so it's not just about inward-looking Hastings people. We've got people from across the board, but they all live here. They've all got a real local connection to the place. And I think that's really important, because we can't expect, even our local MP's got quite a big area, and she hasn't got the time to get involved in the minutiae of the detail about which road needs what litter bin, but the people who live there have got the real lived experience. We've got people who live in some of the really poorest parts of town, and they just don't feature on some of the radars of some of these of other people, and it's not easy for them to have a voice. We've tried really hard to give those people who perhaps have almost given up a voice, and we've got some people who, these aren't the usual suspects. We actually said, if you're a usual suspect, we don't want you. And so the people, none of the people on the board have been involved in this kind of thing before. And we've got a hairdresser, we've got someone who, as I say, is a teacher, we've got other people who've got a real passion about the town, but have never been involved.
So it's real people
It's real people, and it's their community. They're not interested in trying to score political points. They know they can't benefit directly because is very strict, so it's not as if they've got some kind of vested interest. Their interest is the same as my interest, which is Hastings.
Yeah, well, your MP, Helena Dollymore, took me this morning to a primary school called the Baird, and the kids there were choosing what kind of activities they wanted in the playgrounds that are going to be brought back to life. There are 8 in Hastings that are closed down and with locked gates.
Yep.
And you just imagine the kids peering through the railings, wondering why they can't go in. But they're going to be brought back to life thanks to the Pride in Place money.
Yeah.
And the kids were choosing, do they want, a paddling pool in there? Do they want more slides? Do they want more swings? So they're having a say in their own futures, in their own neighbourhoods, and the activities that are available for them. So even kids at primary school age can get involved in helping to take decisions.
Yeah. And we went to schools. I spoke to 2 groups of head teachers. And we've tried particularly hard to engage young people. We've got dedicated young people's places on our board. So we've got 16 and 17-year-olds who aren't allowed to vote, but they can vote. Their vote is worth as much on the board as my vote, actually.
Definitely.
We've all got the same vote. So we're trying really hard to get young people
So if we
involved.
roll it forwards 10 years, what do you want Hastings to be like?
I want it to be the good bits to still be as good. I don't want us to become like a Disneyfied thing because we've changed it. But I want the poorer parts of town to feel much better about themselves. And that sounds really sort of, I don't know. It sounds a pipe dream almost. But I want the poorest parts of town to feel proud about where they live, because at the moment they're really not. And you go around some of the larger estates and it's not a great experience, if I'm honest. And it's those people particularly who really who deserve to feel proud about where they live. And I think we can achieve that.
So it's a place where whatever background you come from, this is a place you can feel proud of and a place you can get on.
Absolutely. I've done a couple of community meetings with people in one of the poorest parts of town, and it's really sad. I mean, just a little anecdote. One of my sons, who's a PE teacher, when he was doing some training as a student, he did some summer work, and he thought he was going to be playing street games with them. It's one of the poor parts of town. He spent every morning making sandwiches because the children he was supposed to be teaching the games to hadn't been fed last night or that morning. So he was making sandwiches so the children could actually have the energy to go and play street games.
That's fantastic.
So it's that kind of thing I want to carry on doing, and that to me is so important.
That kind of captures the spirit of Hastings, doesn't it? It's a town where people look out for each other.
Absolutely.
And Kevin, last time I was here, I think the Prime Minister called you Mr Hastings as well. How did you feel about that?
Well, I've lived all my life. I've done a lot of things in town. I love Hastings. The fact I've got my grown-up children who lived in London moved back to Hastings. I say my granddaughter now at the same school that I went to 60 plus years ago is brilliant. No, I love Hastings.
I think you hit the nail on the head. But Kevin, thank you so much for spending time talking to us about your passion for Hastings. It shines through.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks.
you.